Coming up next on The Jeff Crilley Show, the entire senior care industry is suffering from staff shortages, but we'll take a look at a local company that is bucking the trend. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
On this episode, we're talking about parenting your parent. I always fear a call from Waco in the middle of the day because my mom and dad live there and they're both in good health. But I have not made any plans at all if someone got sick or needed more care. To talk about senior care today, good friend Adam Lampert. He is the CEO of Cambridge Caregivers and Manchester Care Homes. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
This is such a personal decision for families to make. And I want the audience to know you and your company. You guys started this company out of a labor of love. Is that right?
That's true. My partner had an aunt who needed care, and he started looking around the city for care and was just candidly very unimpressed with what was available. And as a builder, he and his partner thought, well, let's build something that would be a really good neighborhood-based operation. And that was the genesis of Manchester Care Homes. So they built 2 care homes and filled those homes very quickly. And they brought in a professional from the industry who lasted about 60 days. And the partners decided, you know what, we can run it better. It was just a sense that we have parents, we have loved ones. We want to run it the way that we want it run. And that's how we've run it now since 2009.
And I can attest, I've been to their homes. They have 4 here in Dallas, and they're beautiful. We're going to show some video of the typical home that you would experience. And I can say that when I walked in the door, you instantly feel love. You feel like this is home. You smell almost, the grandma cooking in the kitchen, don't you?
That's right. And that's how it's meant to be. I'm glad that's how you responded. But that's what we are. We're neighborhood-based operation, and we only have 8 residents in any one of our homes. And so our staff, we always have at least 2 staff in our home at any point in time, 24/7, but they all know who the residents are. They know them individually. They know every detail about them. And so it is very much a loving environment. These are relationships that just grow over time. And that's the beauty of it.
And you're very careful to hire the right people, not just skillful people, but people with compassion, people like Anita.
We are spending 12 hours a day with these people who have, over the year have become like our family because their family was not able to come and see them. And so when you spend that amount of time with somebody, you're bound to know everything about them. And even things that even their daughters and sons and grandsons didn't even know. And so I think it's especially important to remember how unique everyone is, especially at our house. We have old ladies. We don't have any gentlemen just yet. But we know each and every one of them because they're unique. Just like you're unique, just like Sandy's unique. I'm unique in my own way. And so we have certain residents that when they're starting to feel, a bit agitated or low, when you just play some music that they liked back in the day, music from the 40s or 30s, you would just see them light up. And we have residents where we have Dean and Sandy bought us some baby dolls, some pretty baby dolls. We have residents that when you just give her the baby doll, they feel like they're holding their grandbaby or their son. So it's amazing that we, when you get to spend this much time with them, that Mrs. Smith she just wants you to sit with her and just ask her how growing up in Arkansas was. We have a resident that she will talk to you about, how she grew up and when she got married, the first car she drove. I mean, just that 15 to 20 minutes of sitting there and listening, I mean, it changes her whole day. It makes her whole day. So it's just about, I mean, like I said, we spend 12 hours with these ladies every day. And so we're bound to know what they like and what they don't like. And so it's been a blessing.
And I love it that you have that video because people really want to know who is taking care of mom and dad. Talk about the hiring process and the qualities you look for.
Absolutely. And first, let me tell you, we absolutely adore Anita. And Anita is a reflection of our company. She's been with us for years, and she is part of the foundation of who we are. And we spend a lot of time focused on engendering exactly that type of staff and employee. And I like to say that our staff have the caregiver gene. And not all of us have that caregiver gene. We're not that patient necessarily, but that's really what we are looking for in our staff. We are looking for people who care, that this is not just a passing fancy or another job, but rather this is a calling for them and a career. This is what they want to do. And so our whole focus is to find great people like Anita to work for us, because one thing that I'm absolutely clear about when I talk with families, or frankly, when I talk with my staff, is that you, the staff, you are the face of our company. I am not going to be in the house with my hand on the resident or the resident's family. The staff are. They're absolutely the face of our company. And what I tell them, which is honest and from the heart, is that they are the foundation of our business. They are the lifeblood of our business, because they're the face of the business every single day.
And attracting and retaining great employees is a challenge, especially during COVID, when you have a myriad of issues. Talk a little bit about COVID and how you were able to keep your great employees in place.
So COVID, needless to say, was a challenge. It was a challenge for everybody out there, and certainly with seniors, because seniors have weakened immune systems. And so as a company, we took a totally different strategy, a different approach to the business compared to the approach we had taken up to that time. As an example, we changed the shifts from 8-hour shifts to 12-hour shifts. We did this to limit exposure, both for our residents, so the residents only saw basically a pair of staff in front of their face during the day. But what it also accomplished was it limited the exposure of the staff, because the safety and well-being of the staff is every bit as important as the safety and well-being as the residents, because you want staff that are healthy, that they're coming to work, that are not sick, that are committed to the people in the homes. And so we look out for their health and welfare. And so we did things always to protect our base of staff, and and then of course the residents are primary. I'll say this: we're now 1.5 years past the beginning of this pandemic, and we have not had one resident, not a single resident, sick with this virus. Wow. And I can't, at any point in time, including today, I can't tell you why we bucked that trend, except to say that it is a function of our staff and their commitment to watching how, where their exposures are when they're not in the house. We can shut the house down, which we did, meaning we didn't bring vendors in, and it put more pressure on our staff because they had to do more work. But we basically paid them battle pay during this time. And these are committed staff. And so we had a consistency of staff, of dedicated staff, and that's how we made our way through the pandemic.
And I know something else you're passionate about, because a number of your employees happen to be immigrants. You're passionate about hiring great immigrants to this country. Talk about that.
Sure. Well, the reality is that 80% of our employee base are immigrants. They're foreign born. And the reality is that the staff that we have are the ones who are willing to do the work, to do the job. It's not always a pretty job. It's not always a fun job, but you have to have that gene, that caregiver gene that I described. And so for our business, which is growing, we know that we're hiring immigrants. Immigrants are core to our success. The interesting thing, Jeff, is that as we build our base, and in the next year, we're going to hire 200 more staff. We're going to hire 200 staff. But as we hire those staff as caregivers, we also create management positions, which invariably are filled by American citizens, whether it's sales and marketing, whether it's scheduling, or whether it's human resource related. And so the fact that we're able to hire staff, immigrants to meet our needs is fundamental to us creating job opportunities and, just as importantly, filling the needs of the seniors here in Texas. Because we had an episode just a couple weeks ago where all of the salespeople came into my office and said, we had to turn away 400 hours of work. That relates to 10 full-time caregiver positions and opportunities lost for us. There were simply not anybody, there was nobody out there available for us to hire. We're knocking on all doors all the time. We want anybody who has that caregiver gene to consider working for us, because once somebody works for us, we can prove to them why our culture is so powerful by them working with us, okay? But we need to have access to staff in order to do that. And immigrants are fundamental to that, and we will always look to pursue immigrants as well as anyone who have the caregiver gene.
And this is a country founded on immigrants. I mean, it's what makes this country so great and so diverse. And so I applaud you for recognizing that and being outspoken on it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So let's talk about some of the qualities that you look for. If there happens to be somebody watching this right now who says, I wonder if this is for me, what are some questions they should be asking themselves? What's the process look like?
Sure. So fundamental to the discussion is that you have people who are committed to caring for other people. This is not a job waiting tables. This is a job where you have hands-on people, and you have your hands on somebody's mother or father or aunt, uncle, grandmother, grandfather, and it's a really important position. And so the first thing is that you just have to have that desire in you to serve and to have that caregiver gene. We know that we're a fantastic place to work because our culture is predicated on respect. And you would think on the one hand, that's respect, of course, of the resident and of our clients. In the case of Cambridge Caregivers, where we go to Waco to see your mom, we're staying in their house, we're of course respectful of them. But I think about it when I think about staff in terms of respect, that you would think they have to respect me, I'm the boss, right? But I turn that around and say, I have to respect them every bit as much. There has to be mutual respect. And by the way, they need to respect their colleagues in the field just as much. And so I wouldn't stand for anything else, okay? Because when they recognize that, there's a recognition that we're all human. And that if we can prove to them by our action and our deed that we have a culture predicated on respect, then they understand that we're going to be there for them. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to be there for our staff because, as I mentioned before, our staff are the ones who are the face of the company.
And your staff is the one who really gets the residents through these trying times. I know that there's been a lot on the news about COVID and how hard it was on seniors, and we're still going through it. The isolation, there were times when even family members couldn't visit. So it's so important to have the right staff, isn't it?
It's absolutely the case. And we know that, and it shows up where it's absolutely evident when, as an example, we had a gentleman, a staff member, who traveled out of the country to visit his home, and he was gone for a month. And I mean, he was missed. He was missed by the residents. I mean, when he came back, there was a lot of hugging, and they thought they were never going to see him again. And of course, he came back. But that is how it is, and that's how it should be, shouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Where there's that love between the residents and our staff.
And you deliberately keep your homes small because I know some of these big homes can be overwhelming for a senior, can't it?
It's true. They can be. And the most important thing, what I've learned over time, once again, is that it is about staff and engagement. And so I think that there are different properties that serve different purposes, meaning sometimes a large property may fit the needs of a person, and that's perfectly fine. Interestingly, when we get referrals or leads, we're very quick to ascertain whether that person makes sense to be living with us or whether they make sense living somewhere else. Because we want the right solution for the client at the end of the day. Because if they don't fit in with our operation, then they're not going to fit, and it's not going to be a long-term solution. So we're all about finding the right solution for the residents. At the end of the day, it is about engagement from the staff. And so I believe that even a larger operation can be successful if they have the right client and resident engagement. And that's what we focus on.
Okay, if somebody's watching this and saying, man, I need to apply, do they need prior experience? I mean, does that help, or do you actually like people who have not worked in senior care because maybe they haven't picked up bad habits from other places?
No, we love prior experience. And I'll say this, we have some staff in their early 20s who are superstars, who are our clients search them out as 20-year-olds, 21, 22, okay? And then we have superstars who are 70 years old as caregivers. So number one, there's not an age range or limitation. And, further, I think that the more life experience they have, I'll focus on the caregiver gene again. You can be anywhere in your life experience. We have people who've come to us as recently as this month. Of course, I can think of all our staff we've recently added who were caring for their parents. And so they know firsthand. It's like if Jeff came to me and said, I had to care for mom and dad, I know what it's all about. That's great. Yes. The most important thing that they have to have is a caregiver gene. And if they're about the other person, about being of service, we can work with the rest of it. And, we can meet their needs, whether it's working different times or weekends or weekdays or nights or mornings or whatever, but they just need to be caregivers at the core.
We only have about a minute left. You are really growing and looking to hire a lot of caregivers. How many are you looking to fill? So
we are looking to hire 200 staff over the next 12 months.
That's incredible.
Yes, it is. It's an incredible number, but I think that the recognition is that when people come work for us, they feel the difference. And we put our staff on a pedestal because we know they're the face of the company. And so when things happen in the lives of our staff, we are there to respond and to be supportive. Bad things happen. We can't control bad things from happening. Sometimes in their families, people may pass and they need to leave. And as a company, we will write a check for them, interest-free, for them to travel or to do things that they wouldn't be able to do, but for the fact that we were there as their company standing behind them. And the same thing is true for if their hot water heater broke, which happened recently. We'll write a check and we'll just ask them, you tell us how you're going to pay it back. The reason we do that is because we want staff to know that we're a different company, we're a different breed, and that feeling, that culture is going to make its way into the front-facing view to our residents and to our clients, and they're gonna feel the difference.
Wow, Adam, I'm inspired. You need to write a book on company culture and hiring the right people. We're going to end by putting up the website. Actually, a couple of websites. ManchesterLiving.com is the main website where you can navigate to other pages, and then the hiring website, MLHire.com, is the website if you're looking for a job. Adam, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.